دكتور نادر، انا اسفه ان انا ما قدرتش.
انا عارفها يعني، انتوا لو مش عارفين انا ممكن اقول معاكم.
تعالى يا ليه؟ لا مش مشكله، بس تعالى عشان يبقى معاك ميه.
هنبتدي طلعت انت كرام. ماشي.
طيب اتفضلوا نصلي. هنصلي صلاة الشكر محفوظة، مش لازم اوكي. بسم الآب والابن والروح القدس الإله الواحد أمين. كرياليسون يا رب ارحم، يا رب ارحم، يا رب بارك أمين. المجد الآب والابن والروح القدس الآن وكل أوان والدهر دهور أمين. اجعلنا رب مستحقين أن نناديك بدالة البنين. أبانا الذي في السماوات يتقدس اسمك، ليأتي ملكوتك، تكن مشيئتك كما في السماء كذلك على الأرض. خبزنا كفافنا أعطينا اليوم، واغفر لنا ذنوبنا كما نغفر نحن أيضا المذنبين إلينا، ولا تدخلنا في تجربة لكن نجنا من الشرير بالمسيح يسوع ربنا، لأن لك الملك والقوة والمجد للأبد آمين. فلنشكر صانع الخيرات الرحوم الله أبو ربنا وإلهنا ومخلصنا يسوع المسيح، لأنه سترنا وأعاننا وحفظنا وقبلنا إليه وأشفق علينا وعضدنا وأتى بنا هذه الساعة. هو أيضا فلنسأله أن يحفظنا في هذا اليوم المقدس وكل أيام حياتنا بكل سلام الضابط الكل الرب إلهنا. أيها السيد الرب الإله ضابط الكل، أبو ربنا وإلهنا ومخلصنا يسوع المسيح، نشكرك على كل حال، أجل كل حال وفي كل حال، لأنك سترتنا وأعنتنا وحفظتنا قبلتنا إليك وأشفقت علينا وعضدتنا وأتيت بنا هذه الساعة. من أجل هذا نسأل ونطلب من صلاحك يا محب البشر، امنحنا أن نكمل هذا اليوم المقدس وكل أيام حياتنا بكل سلام مع خوفك. كل حسد، كل تجربة، كل فعل الشيطان، مؤامرات الناس الأشرار وقيام الأعداء الخفيين والظاهرين، انزحها عنا وعن سائر شعبك وعن موضعك المقدس هذا. أما الصالحات والنافعات فارزقنا إياها، لأنك أنت الذي أعطيتنا السلطان أن ندوس الحياة والعقارب وكل قوات العدو. ولا تدخلنا في تجربة لكن نجنا من الشرير، بالنعمة والرأفات ومحبة البشر اللواتي لابنك الوحيد ربنا وإلهنا مخلصنا يسوع المسيح، هذا الذي من قبله المجد والإكرام والعز والسجود، تليق بك معه ومع الروح القدس المحيي المساوي لك الآن وكل أوان وإلى دهر الدهور آمين. ارحمني يا الله كعظيم رحمتك، ومثل كثرة رأفتك تمحو إثمي، تغسلني كثيرا من إثمي ومن خطيتي تطهرني، لأني أنا عارف بإثمي وخطيتي أمامي في كل حين. لك وحدك أخطيت والشر قدامك صنعت، لكي تتبرر في أقوالك وتغلب إذا حكمت. لأني هانذا بالأثام حبل بي وبالخطايا ولدتني أمي، لأنك هكذا قد أحببت الحق إذ أوضحت لي غوامض حكمتك ومستوراتها. تنضح علي بزوفاك فأطهر، تغسلني فأبيض أكثر من الثلج، تسمعني سرورا وفرحا فتبتهج عظامي المنسحقة. اصرف وجهك عن خطاياي وامحو كل آثامي، قلبا نقيا اخلق فيا يا الله، روحا مستقيما جدده في أحشائي. لا تطرحني من قدام وجهك، وروحك القدوس امنحني بهجة خلاصك، وبروح مدبر عضدني، فأعلم الأثم طرقك والمنافقون إليك يرجعون. نجني من الدماء يا الله إله خلاصي، فيبتهج لساني بعدلك. يا رب افتح شفتي فيخبر فمي بتسبيحك، لأنك لو آثرت الذبيحة لكنت الآن أعطي، ولكنك لا تصر محرقات. فالذبيحة لله روح منسحق، القلب المنكسر والمتواضع لا يرزله الله. أنعم يا رب مسرتك على صهيون، ولتبنى أسوار أورشليم. حينئذ تصر ذبائح البر قربان محرقات، وحينئذ يقربون على مذابحك عيجون. هللويا. ارحمنا يا الله ثم ارحمنا، يا من في كل وقت كل ساعة في السماء وعلى الأرض مسجود له ممجد، المسيح إلهنا الصالح الطويل الروح الكثير الرحمة الجزيل التحنن، الذي يحب الصديقين ويرحم خطاة الذين ولهم أنا. الذي لا يشاء موت الخاطي مثل ما يرجع ويحيا، الداعي الكل إلى خلاص لأجل الموعد بالخيرات المنتظرة. يا رب اقبل منا في هذه الساعة كل ساعة البطنة، سهل حياتنا وارشدنا لعمل بوصاياك، قدس أرواحنا، طهر أجسامنا، قوم أفكارنا، نقي نيتنا، اشفي أمراضنا واغفر خطايانا، نجينا من كل حزن رديء وجع قلب، أحطنا بالإكتة القديسين لكي نكون معسكرة ومحفوظين مرشدين، نصل اتحاد الإيمان وإلى معرفة مجدك غير المحسوس غير محدود، فأنك مبارك إلى الأبد آمين. ارحمنا 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 يا الله الآب يا ضابط الكل، ارحمنا 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 يا الله مخلصنا، ارحمنا يا الله ثم ارحمنا يا رب ارحم.
أخيرا يا رب ليس أخيرا بنسلمك يا رب الكلمة والاجتماع وكل الموجودين يا ربي. اعطي يا ربي كلمة على فم المتكلم النهاردة لكي نستفيد يا ربي ونعمل بكلمتك وتكون ثمر في حياتنا يا رب. بارك على كل من له تعب في هذه الخدمة وبارك على كل الموجودين يا ربي وسامحنا. اسمعنا عندما نصلي ليك بالشكر قائلين يا أبانا الذي في السماوات.
فترة الترانيم بتبقى فترة رائعة، بتبقى عبارة عن صلاة، فترة صلاة بنغم الصلاة، كلمات صلاة ونغم صلاة، فياريت نصلي كلنا مع بعض.
سلام وأمان ورفعته وسط الموج واديته سلام وأمان وأنا زيه يا ربي امسك إيدي كمان وأنا زيه يا ربي امسك إيدي كمان الموج عليا عالي يخطف قلبي مني والريح يا رب شديدة خايف نفسي تخني والمركب
نازل وصخور بتحطمني، والمركب طالع نازل وصخور بتحطمني. قل للموج يهدى في صدرك احضني، قل للموج يهدى في صدرك احضني. ادخل يا رب سفينتي، املك حياتي تمام. اطرد مني الخوف، داوي كل الآلام. اسكن جوا في قلبي واملاه بالسلام. اسكن جوا في قلبي واملاه بالسلام. ابدا ما تسيبني لوحدي امشي وسط الايام. ابدا ما تسيبني لوحدي امشي وسط الايام. ايماني يا رب ضعيف، شددني في الايمان. وان يوم انا شكيت فيك او تهت في اي مكان، ده انت يا رب ابويا، قلبك كله حنان. ده انت يا رب ابويا، قلبك كله حنان. رجعني تاني ليك، أعيش طول الزمان. رجعني تاني ليك، أعيش طول الزمان. وفي الأبدية يا ربي أتمنى أكون معاك. جهز لي هناك مكان علشان أكون وياك. مهما كانت ضعفاتي مالي يا رب سواك. مهما كانت ضعفاتي مالي يا رب سواك. انت تستر عليا وتفرحني برؤياك. انت تستر عليا وتفرحني برؤياك.
جايين يا أبانا اسمع لدعانا، بتواضع يرجع شعبك يطلب رحمة من عندك، بقلوب محتاجة إليك. جايين يا أبانا اسمع لدعانا، بتواضع يرجع شعبك يطلب رحمة من عندك، بقلوب محتاجة إليك. درجانا فيك يا إلهنا، وهنستنى المواعيد، نحوك نرفع أعيننا، وإيماننا فيك بيزيد. بنصدق كل وعودك، ده انت في الوعد أمين. تملى حياتنا من جودك، مجدا ليك يا معين. أرضنا عطشانة بجروح مليانة، من فيض حبك ترويها، لمسة إيدك تشفيها، وتردها تاني ليك. أرضنا عطشانة بجروح مليانة، من فيض حبك ترويها، لمسة إيدك تشفيها، وتردها تاني ليك. درجانا فيك يا إلهنا، وهنستنى المواعيد، نحوك نرفع أعيننا، وإيماننا فيك بيزيد. بنصدق كل وعودك، ده انت في الوعد أمين. تملى حياتنا من جودك، مجدا ليك يا معين. بنتوب قدامك، بنعود لحنانك، نعلن ملكك في حياتنا، في بيوتنا وفي اجتماعاتنا، وقلوبنا بتسجد ليك. بنتوب قدامك، بنعود لحنانك، نعلن ملكك في حياتنا، في بيوتنا وفي اجتماعاتنا، وقلوبنا بتسجد ليك. درجانا فيك يا إلهنا، وهنستنى المواعيد، نحوك نرفع أعيننا، وإيماننا فيك بيزيد. بنصدق كل وعودك، ده انت في الوعد أمين. تملى حياتنا من جودك، مجدا ليك يا معين.
معلش أنا آسف على التأخير، بس عبال ما بظبط النغمة.
أنا ماشي ونورك قدامي، وكلامك نوري في أيامي. أنا ماشي ونورك قدامي، وكلامك نوري في أيامي. إبليس إن كان يتحداني، راح أدوسه بدم اللي فداني. إبليس إن كان يتحداني، راح أدوسه بدم اللي فداني. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي مدام انت معايا، والهدف واضح جوايا. أنا ماشي مدام انت معايا، والهدف واضح جوايا. في طريقي براجع خطواتي، وبتابع صوتك في حياتي. في طريقي براجع خطواتي، وبتابع صوتك في حياتي. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي ودايس على ألمي، وصليبك فوقي صباح عالمي. أنا ماشي ودايس على ألمي، وصليبك فوقي صباح عالمي. في طريق أنا لازم أتألم، ترهبني ألامك أتعلم. في طريق أنا لازم أتألم، توهبني ألامك أتعلم. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي وصوتك عزاني، من روحك يا يسوع إملاني. أنا ماشي وصوتك عزاني، من روحك يا يسوع إملاني. تسبيحك يعلى في مشواري، وهتافك يحلالي في داري. تسبيحك يعلى في مشواري، وهتافك يحلالي في داري. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي مسافر يا هنايا، وهسيب العالم ده ورايا. أنا ماشي مسافر يا هنايا، هسيب العالم ده ورايا، اليوم الرايح مش راجع، برية ومليانة مواجع، اليوم الرايح مش راجع، برية ومليانة مواجع. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار. أنا ماشي وحبك ليا منار، وصليبك عداني من النار.
ازيكم؟ انا بنبسط قوي لما ببقى موجود في الاجتماع. هشارككم النهارده بحاجه صغيره كده. اكيد ربنا بيديني كده حق ان انا اشارككم بيها، مش عارف ليه. المهم، في معجزه معروفه قوي اللي هي بتاعت المراه اللي كانت بتنزف دم. المراه دي كلنا عارفين القصة. 12 سنة بتنزف دم منها، وكانت مكروهة، وكانت بتروح لأطباء كتير علشان تتشفي وفي الآخر قالت إيه؟ عرفت إن المسيح ماشي في مكان معين، راحت قالت في نفسها: أنا لو لمست توب المسيح هأشفى. نركز على الجملة دي، قالت في نفسها. بعد كده المسيح قال ايه؟ الوحيدة اللي قال لها الكلمة دي: يا ابنة انت اتشفيتي عشان ايمانك. يا ابنة. ما فيش ولا موقف افتكر ان المسيح قال لحد فيه يا ابنة غير الشخصية دي. المهم، انا عاوز بس اوصل لنقطة معينة من الحوار ده، اللي هي الجملة الأولانية، إنها فكرت في نفسها وخدت قرار. بشوف الكلام ده على حياتنا إحنا في حتة السلبية والإيجابية. هل إحنا إيجابيين في حياتنا في الكلام اللي بنقوله، ولا دايما بنتكلم بطريقة سلبية؟ يعني لو بصينا كده لكل واحد فينا، أول ما بيقوم من النوم بيقوم، لو هو تعبان هيقول جسمي وجعني، مش قادر، أنا تعبان النهاردة، أنا شكلي مش عارف أكمل اليوم إزاي. رايح الشغل، يا دي هابل الناس هي وفلان اللي أنا بتضايق منه، والشغل أنا متعبان منه، وأنا مش مبسوط من فلان، وأنا أجي رايح الاجتماع، لو أنا بخدم في الاجتماع مش فاهم، أنا نص الاجتماع خدام، ربعهم بيجي والربع التاني ما بيجيش، واللي بيجي مش عاوز يتحرك يعمل أي حاجة. أجي على بيتي وابتدي أقول إيه؟ مراتي يا ساتر يا رب، أدخل البيت ألاقيها مستنية، أنا عاوزة، يا إما مش عاجبها حاجة في معينة، اعملي معرفش إيه، العيال تعبني. والست بتقول نفس الكلام: أنت سايبني، أنا اللي لابسة في الحيط في كل حاجة، أنا اللي بعمل كل حاجة. كلام كله سلبي سلبي سلبي. بنسى إنه المسيح قال لنا كده، إنه اسهروا وصلوا لأن إبليس خصمكم كأسد زائر بيجول ملتمس من يبتلعه. يجول ملتمس، يعني واحد كده قاعد مستني بس انت تفكر تقول يا دي اليوم الزفت، تبص تلاقيه راح داخلك وسوري في الكلمة قلب لك اليوم. ليه؟ لأن كلمتك ليها سلطان. بس سلطان على ايه؟ بتدي فرصة لإبليس إن هو يدخل فيكعبل لك حياتك. تبتدي تقول على نفسك إن أنا تعبان، يدخل يتعبك ويمرضك ويخليك دايما حاسس إن أنت واقع ومش قادر. دي حقيقة إحنا كلنا بنمر فيها. طب وبعدين؟ هل هو ده الوضع الطبيعي إن أنا لازم أكون كده؟ ولا الوضع الطبيعي إن أنا أقف وأقول مع نفسي لا، أنا من النهاردة إلهي ده إله حي. ده هو قال إيه؟ أما كل الذين قبلوه أعطاهم سلطان أن يصيروا أولاد الله، أي المؤمنين باسمه. ده أنت ابن. طب أنت منين أنت بتقول ابن ومنين أنت واقع؟ هل ينفع ابن يسوع يكون واقع؟ ده هو لما صلى على في الصلاة الشفاعية قال أنا فيهم وهم فيا لنكون واحد. يسوع عمره ما كان واقع. يسوع جاء منتصر وجاي علشان ينتصر. فاحنا ازاي احنا واقعين؟ لازم نخلي بالنا ان من النهارده نعاهد نفسنا انه هنقول كلام ايجابي على بيتنا لازم يكون حلو. عيالنا يكونوا كويسين، ما فيهمش اي امراض نتنبأ عليهم. نقول كده عيالنا هيكونوا حلوين وفي دراستهم. نقول على حياتنا هتكون كويسة وهيكون مفيش لينا مرض. هنقول على اجتماعنا وعلى كنيستنا واحنا رايحين مش هنبص على الناحية السلبية. مش هنبص انه فلان بيخدم ايه وفلان بيعمل ايه. مش هبص على فلان انا طايقه ولا مش طايقه. لكن هيبقى همي كله ان انا اقول حاجة الإيجابية. الحاجة كلامي ينطق بكلام إيجابي، فربنا يتدخل ويعمل الكلام ده في حياتنا. على أشغالنا هيدينا إن احنا نقدر نستحمل الشغل اللي احنا فيه ونحبه. ومش بس كده، لو في شخص مضايقنا نحاول نصلي له. ده اتجاه قلب. يا إما أن أنا أكون ابن فتشفي ويقول لي يا ابني أنت علشان إيمانك أنا شفيتك، يا إما هفضل طول عمري مهزوم وأنا مش ابن. لأن الابن لازم يكون منتصر، لأن أبوه منتصر. هو قال كده في مزمور 91: أنت قلت أنا أقول للرب ملجئي وحصني إلهي أتكل عليه. يوم رد عليا يقول لي إيه؟ يسقط عن جانبك 1000 ربوات عن يمينك وإليك لا تقرب. يا رب، من كلمة أنا أعلنتها إن أنا قلت إن أنت الملجأ بتاعي، أنت هتعمل كتير لأن أنا صدقت في الكلمة. عشان كده خلينا بكل قلوبنا نعمل كده، إنه من النهاردة هناخد قرار إنه كل واحد يكون كل كلامه إيجابي مش سلبي. كل حاجة هنتنبأ إن ربنا هيغيرها وهيخليها حلوة. هنقول إنه فجأة هنلاقي الاجتماع ده الناس اللي كانت كلها مش موجودة هتكون موجودة، علشان إحنا بنشتاق قدامه. لكن إحنا ما بنجربش نعمل كده، إحنا طلباتنا محدودة. ميرسي خالص.
طيب احنا هنقول مع بعض ترنيمة قلب حنين عبال ما يظبطوا لنا الشاشة الكبيرة. هي موجودة على بقية الشاشات فنقدر نشوفها من باقي الشاشات.
إن صليبه ده كان تكفير عن خطايانا، مات وفدانا، نعمة غنية وحب كبير. قلبه حنين حبه يبين إن صليبه ده كان تكفير عن خطايانا، مات وفدانا، نعمة غنية وحب كبير. سر حياتنا ده هو يسوع، بنرنمها بصوت مسموع. سر حياتنا ده هو يسوع، بنرنمها بصوت مسموع. هو الكلمة وهو الله، هو بروحه عطانا حياة. هو الكلمة وهو الله، هو بروحه عطانا حياة. وسط المحنة بسرعة لمحنا يسوع الحلو وجالنا واه. ألف وعوده إن وجوده تملي معانا أمان وسلام. وسط المحنة بسرعة لمحنا يسوع الحلو وجالنا واه. ألف وعوده إن وجوده تملي معانا أمان وسلام. سر حياتنا ده هو يسوع، بنرنمها بصوت مسموع. سر حياتنا ده هو يسوع، بنرنمها بصوت مسموع. هو الكلمة وهو الله، هو بروحه عطانا حياة. هو الكلمة وهو الله، هو بروحه عطانا حياة. نادى علينا وبقى لنا مينا، مرسى وشط وفلك نجاة. صرنا سفينة في يد أمينة، تعلى الموجة ونعلى معاه. نادى علينا وبقى لنا مينا، مرسى وشط وفلك نجاة. صرنا سفينة في يد أمينة، تعلى الموجة ونعلى معاه. سر حياتنا ده هو يسوع، بنرنمها بصوت مسموع. سر حياتنا ده هو يسوع، بنرنمها بصوت مسموع. هو الكلمة وهو الله، هو بروحه عطانا حياة. هو الكلمة وهو الله، هو بروحه عطانا حياة. انت حرسنا وانت وسيلة، هيعدينا لحد سما. مهما الغربة بان لنا صعبة، هترسل مركب وهنلقاه. عند حرسنا وإيد تواسينا، هيعدينا لحد سما. مهما الغربة تبان لنا صعبة، هترسل مركب وهنلقاه. سر
حياتنا ده هو يسوع، بنرنمها بصوت مسموع. سر حياتنا ده هو يسوع، بنرنمها بصوت مسموع. هو الكلمة وهو الله، هو بروحه عطانا حياة. هو الكلمة وهو الله، هو بروحه عطانا حياة.
نشكر المرنمين اللي بيمتعونا بالترانيم والعازفين اللي بيمتعونا بالعزف. النهارده موضوع مهم قوي 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 لتربية أولادنا. الدكتور قبل ما يبقى دكتور بيدرس علشان يقدر يتعامل مع المرضى، مع بني آدمين. الكنيسة بتقول لنا قبل ما تتجوز لازم تدرس الجنس الآخر وتدرس العلاقة بين الزوجين علشان لما تتجوز تعرف تتجوز. بس ما بيقولناش قبل ما تخلف تدرس هتعمل ايه مع عيالك. بنكتشف ان احنا عندنا كائن جديد كده. ايه ده؟ لعبة؟ هنعمل بيه ايه الكائن الجديد ده؟ فمهم قوي ان احنا نعرف. معانا النهارده مدام مريان ماجستير في امور الاطفال وتربيه الاطفال، وان شاء الله الدكتوراه قريب، وهتكلمنا عن الموضوع ده. هي مدام مريان يعني هي بتعرف العربي كويس قوي لكن بتتكلم بالانجلش، فهي هتتكلم بالانجلش سلولي عشان كلنا نفهم. وايفن برضو يعني في الاخر كل فقره هنعمل سمري بالعربي. اوكي؟ alright. تمام، اتفضل.
هاي. معلش أنا بتكلم عربي وبفهم عربي، بس العربي مكسر قوي. حاجة زي كده ما اقدرش اتكلم بالعربي عشان كل يعني الwords اللي هقولها مش بعرف اقولها بالعربي. اوكي؟ بس أنا مريان، أنا بروح كنيسة سانت رويس في ويسلي تشابل. بقالي هنا في فلوريدا 3 سنين كده. عندي عيالين both of them teenagers. البنت عندها 15 سنة والولد عنده 17 سنة. أنا درست psychology و social work، ودلوقتي بشتغل في باسكو كاونتي سكولز في الديستريكت أوفيس. بشتغل مع المنتل هيلث تيم. في تيم يعني لما في مشاكل مع العيال أو محتاجين mental health support، إحنا بنساعد الناس اللي بيشتغلوا في المدارس عشان يعملوا referrals أو يلاقوا حد يتكلم معهم، أو بنساعدهم إزاي يتعاملوا مع الأهالي في حاجات زي كده. Good so far? Okay. So لما الوقت اللي هنقعد فيه أنا هتكلم بالإنجليش، بس أستاذ نادر قال هي بعد كل سكشن هقف وهو هيقول بالعربي. أنا ممكن أفهم، وكنتوا تسألوني حاجة بالعربي أنا ممكن أفهم، بس أنا probably هرد بالإنجليزي. Okay? Sorry. Okay. Okay. So اللي هنعمله لكن هنبتدي نقول ليه مهم نعرف ونتكلم على child development، وبعد كده I broke it up into different stages. هنتكلم على 0 to 2 الأول، هنقول إيه العيال محتاجين إيه في السن ده، وبعد كده الأهالي ممكن يعملوا إيه عشان يساعدوا عيالهم في الوقت ده. بعدين هنروح لسنة 3 to 5، وبعدين هروح من 6 to 8، وبعدين آخر واحد من 9 to 12، وهقف عندي سن 12. Okay? وبعد ما نكمل كل ده هنتكلم على screen time، يعني التلفزيون والالكترونيكس والايباد وكل ده هنتكلم عليه just for a few minutes. وبعدين في الآخر عندي شوية scenarios، يعني situation أنت ممكن تشوفوا مع عيالك، وبعدين هنتكلم تعملوا إيه في حاجة زي كده ونتكلم مع بعض. Sounds good? Okay. That's all my Arabic. Now I'm going to talk English. I'm trying. Okay. So I talked about this already. So what does the Bible tell us about raising children? And there's many verses in the Bible that tell us why we have to really understand how to raise our children. At a very basic level, we as parents are responsible. At the end, when we one day die, God's going to say, what did you do to this child that I gave you? Right? And we also know that when we teach them respect, they're going to be able to respect us and then respect everyone around them, right? And again, these things are super important. In Proverbs 22:6, it says, train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it, right? I always joke with my kids, I tell them, when I get old, all the things that I did for you, you're gonna take care of me when I go old, right? I have one child that says yes and one child that says no, so we'll see. In Psalms 127:3, it says that, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb is a reward. God gave them to us as a gift. Whatever they reap, whatever things they accomplish in the world, it's going to be because of the foundation that we do, right? So God entrusted us with these children that he gave us. Correct your son and he will give you rest. Yes, he will give delight to your soul. So our job is to discipline our children. The Bible tells us. We can't let our child do whatever we want. Oh, it's too difficult. Oh, it's too stressful. We're responsible for disciplining our child. The Bible tells us. So it's an obligation. What I love about the Bible is that any issue, any topic, anything, you can find a verse to support it in the Bible. So I love to start with this. And then finally, and you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. So I love this verse because sometimes we feel my child should respect me, but yet we're yelling at our child, we're cursing at our child, we're letting our child do all sorts of things. We have to also not make our child angry. We have to discipline them, but with love. Not in a way, because again, they're gonna learn from us how to act and how to behave. So this is just the foundation. Do you wanna say anything? It's okay? Is everyone good? Any questions? We're good, okay. So we're gonna start from 0 to 2 years old. So, like I said, I'm gonna split up each stage into 2 or 3 slides. The first slide is going to tell us what our child needs in this, like what their need is psychologically in this stage. And then the second slide is how we as parents could help them with their needs, their psychological needs, okay? So from 0 to 2, really the main issue here that we're focusing on is attachment and bonding. And when we think about attachment and bonding, right? The child wants to know that when they cry, that the person that is caring for them will take care of them. When they are hungry, when they are hurt, when they're not feeling good, that they can count on a parent, right, their caregiver, to come to them to help them. And when we respond to them in that way, we allow them to develop this attachment, this bond to us. And this stage is so important because you'll see that everything we talk about, how we can support them and what their needs are and what it will help them accomplish, when we set that foundation, it's gonna help them as they grow. But it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time because we know when you have 0 to 2-year-olds, does anybody here have 0 to 2-year-olds? When you have 0 to 2-year-olds, it's physically tiring. You're sleepy. You can ever feel you have any rest. You can't go to the bathroom alone. Someone's always needing you, right? You have to take a 5-minute shower to hurry up and go find your child that's crying for you. It's exhausting. But the issue is when they have this secure attachment, when they know that their caregiver is there for them and taking care of them, they're going to be able to have good emotional regulation. And this idea of emotional regulation, have you ever seen like a kid that's 9 or 10 that all he does is cry and throw himself on the floor and not know how to cope with someone telling him no or someone not giving him what he wants? Sometimes this happens because at a young age, they don't learn this emotional regulation. It's okay to be angry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to feel mad, it's okay to do all of these different things, but we have to teach our children from a young age how to manage it. So when they know that I can rely on my parents when I'm a baby, that they're gonna be there for me and respond to my needs, it helps me build that foundation to manage my emotions as I get older. When they have secure attachments, it helps them build a foundation for being able to develop social skills, to make friends, and to be able to sit in a classroom and to do all these different things. And then also, when we think about secure attachment, we know that it helps them with their cognitive development, their thinking, because they know that they're going to be exploring the world around them, right? Do you ever see like a baby and like their eyes, like when they see a new color or a new shape or a new toy, right? And during this stage, there's a lot of sensory and motor development that's happening, right? They start to crawl, they're starting to be able to stand up by themselves, they're starting to be able to turn and flip. So there's a lot happening in terms of their sensory and motor development. So these are some parents, the tips for how you can support your child with their needs during this stage. Be present. Be present. I don't know about you, but even though I don't have a 0 to 2-year-old, sometimes it's hard to be present with my teenagers, right? They're talking to me and I'm busy looking at my phone. 1 minute I have an email to respond to. 1 minute I have to respond to this text that someone sent me, right? All that is important, but try to be present at every age for your child when they need you. Respond to the baby's cues. It's really important that we don't leave our child at this stage crying for long hours, that we're getting them. It's really important that when they're hungry, they know that they're going to be fed, that they can rely on getting food when they need it. Having a routine, establishing like this is your bedtime, this is your time to take a bath, this is your time to read a book together. Creating a safe and stimulating environment. We don't want to always keep our kid confined in a stroller or in their bed. We want to let them explore different things. Put them on the floor, let them move around, put them on that mat, let them be able to explore their environment. And finally, touch them, give them hugs, give them kisses, let them feel you so that they can, again, help to develop that secure attachment with you.
الزيرو تو 2 ده أهم مرحلة. 0 to 2 مرحلة مهمة جدا. البيبي كان مستريح وهو في بطن مامته، كان هو كده في بطن مامته كان مستريح قوي. أول لما نزل الدنيا بالنسبة له العالم هو مامته، يعني العالم كله هي مامته، فهو بيكون عنده احتياج لازم يكون في اتاتشمنت والترابط بينه وبين مامته، والبوند اللي بينه وبين مامته يبقى بوند قوي، ترابط قوي بينه وبين الأم بالنسبة له العالم كله. وبرضو في الوقت ده بالذات لما بتبتدي يحبي أو حاجة زي كده محتاج إن هو يمشي ويتعلم المشي. فلما يكون بيعيط لأي سبب ما لازم مامته تكون present في الوقت ده، ما تخلوش يعيط مدة طويلة، لحسن لو عيط مدة طويلة هيحس إن مفيش أمان في الدنيا اللي هو جاي لها. ده كان في بطن مامته أريح، لكن لما نزل للعالم ده مفيش أمان. فعلشان يحس بالأمان لازم تكون مامته بتستجيب بسرعة، ولازم بتعلمه روتين. يعني مثلا إيه الوقت ده وقت بيد تايم، الوقت ده هتاخد باث، فكل ما يحتاج أي حاجة بترد على طول. مهم يكون في تاتشز وحضن، والرضاعة الطبيعية مهمة جدا، لأن دي مش معلش سوري دي حضرتك ما قلتهاش بس أنا هقولها. الرضاعة الطبيعية، الرضاعة اللي ببرونة كده، البيبي كده وبنديله الببرونة خد كله وخلص، دي مش حلوة. لكن الحضن مع الرضاعة الطبيعية مهمة، مش كده؟ تمام. لأنه دي بتخليه ايموشن، مشاعره بيبقى يعرف يعمل كنترول على مشاعره، يعرف يعمل السوشيال ريليشن شيب مع الناس، ويعرف اكسبلور وليرن ويتعلم، لأنه في اتاتشمنت قوية مع مامته. واضحة النقطة دي؟ 0 to 2 مهمة جدا. اوكي.
Thank you. Any questions? Are you tired of me yet? I can finish. I can stop here. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to 2 to 5. Does anybody have 2 to 5? Okay. All right. So the key needs at this time for a child is autonomy and independence. What's autonomy بالعربي? I don't know. يعتمد على نفسه. Yeah? So this is when the child starts to develop and need autonomy and independence. When you give them this ability to develop autonomy and independence, it starts developing self-esteem and confidence. And you're going to see that at every stage, if we're able to meet their needs, it's going to help them continue developing their self-esteem and their confidence. It's going to help them develop problem-solving skills. It's going to encourage responsibility, and it's going to foster the ability to have social skills with people. This is a time of really amazing language and cognitive development. When you think about the number of words that a child between the age of 2 to 5, they go from saying a couple of words to having full sentences and conversations. They're growing so much in this stage, cognitively, and their ability to engage in conversation, okay? So these are their needs at this time. So now we're gonna talk about what we can do to help to build this autonomy and independence for them. So we want to encourage exploration and play. We want to give them access to things, to like building blocks, to like things like coloring books and Play-Doh, dress-up clothes. Encourage outdoor play to promote physical activity. Help teach them and encourage them to dress themselves, to start picking out their clothes. And this takes so much patience. I see you smiling because I remember at this stage, it takes so much effort. It's so much easier for you to tell your child, just wear this, enough, just put it on, right? But pick out 2 things that either one you're fine with and let them choose. Sometimes I've had to let my children go to school with ripped pants or a mismatched outfit because they insisted that's what they want to wear, right? And sometimes we as parents, oh, that's so embarrassing. I can't believe we're going to go to church like that. Oh my goodness, what is their teacher going to say at school when they go like that? Believe me, people understand, their teachers know that they are establishing their autonomy and independence, right? So sometimes it's good to give them 2 choices that you're okay with, but let them choose, right? When you have them do things like start learning how to put on their clothes, it's so much patience. It's so much faster if you just do it for them. Azina khalas, right? We have to go, put on your shoes, let me just do it for you. But again, whenever there's opportunity, obviously we have to pick and choose. I'm not saying this is easy to do every day, but pick and choose. If it's a Saturday morning and you're just gonna go to a store, maybe you have some more time to let them do these things, right? I used to, when my daughter was young, she's so picky. She's so picky, and she has this unique personality. So I would have to sit with her at night before school to pick out her clothes the night before, because if I picked it for her, no. And sometimes even when we do it the night before, the next morning she changed her mind, right? That happens too. So they will test our patience, but we have to give them the opportunity for this independence and autonomy. So again, when it talks about the setting boundaries, they can't do everything by themselves, right? And you have to be okay with it. So give them the options that you're okay with. And then we also want to be careful not to let them fail too often. So for example, if you see your child trying to put on their shirt and they can't do it, it's like this balancing act. We can't jump in right away and do it for them. We have to let them struggle a little bit. But if we let them struggle too much, it impacts their self-confidence. They're going to start thinking, oh my, I'm so bad, I can't even do anything myself. Do you know what I mean? So we have to find opportunities for success for them so they can start doing things and be successful at it. If they come ask you, Mama, please just do it for me, maybe you say, try. I'm going to be here to help you, but try. I think you can try to do it by yourself. But if we see them continuing to struggle, it's okay to help them. Because in order to build their self-confidence, they have to have successes. They can't keep having failures in this stage. Does that make sense? And then use positive reinforcement. And positive reinforcement is really an important strategy and helpful in every stage, but obviously the way you do it is different. I don't know about you, but when I was little, Mama would just tell me, do X, Y, or Z. I just had to do it. If I didn't do it, I got yelled at. If I did it, Mama didn't say, she didn't always say, oh, good job. She just expected me to do it, right? So I think that we as parents have to find time to tell our child good things when they listen to what we're saying or accomplish something on their own, right? And sometimes we have to focus to ignore the negative. And sometimes that's hard. But sometimes we have to ignore the negative and just focus on what they're doing that's positive to continue building their confidence and their self-esteem. Any questions?
من 2 ل5 بقى بيبتدي الولد يبعد عن مامته. يبتدي بقى يعني هو كان قبل كده قريب، دلوقتي بيبتدي يبعد. فلازم يتعلم انه يبقى يعتمد على نفسه واندبندنت وبينجح في الحاجات اللي بيعملها. فهنا لازم يعتمد على نفسه. والحاجة التانية المهمة برضو اللانجوج، وإنه يعبر عن نفسه ويبتدي يجمع كلمات ويتكلم عن نفسه. مهم الأب والأم في الوقت ده. قبل كده كنا بنقول الأم بس، دلوقتي الأب والأم في الوقت ده يشجعوه كويس قوي ويخلوه يحاول يعمل حاجة، مثلا يلبس اللبس، يحاول يلبس اللبس لوحده. مش عارف نسيبه يحاول، بس ما نسيبوش كتير قوي لدرجة إنه يشعر بالفشل. يعني لا نعمل له بسرعة بحيث يشعر إنه هو ما بيعرفش يعمل ومامته وباباه هم اللي بيعملوا، ولا نسيبه قوي لدرجة إنه هو يشعر بالفشل. لازم تبقى فيها حكمة. برضو نشجع كتير كتير كتير، ونفكر إن إحنا أي حاجة صغننة يعملها نشجعه عليها، علشان هنا يكون السيلف استيم والكونفيدنس في نفسه. تهيألي كده صح؟ أوكي.
We're good? Okay. So now we're going to go to 6 to 8 years old. Who has anyone 6 to 8? Okay, so a few more people. All right, so the key psychological needs at this stage are social skills and friendships. And so I love what we heard about, like how when you're young, you really depend on your mom, and then it's your mom and dad, right? So now friends start coming in the picture more, right? And they start also this idea of building relationships with people besides just their parents or their siblings. They want to start building relationships with people outside the house, whether it's friends at school or someone they play soccer with, or someone that you live in the neighborhood with, right? So they want to start building those relationships. They start developing empathy and emotional intelligence. Empathy is this idea that if I see you hurt, I can feel bad. Like if I see my friend crying, I can understand, oh, they feel sad, let me try to go help them, let me see what's wrong. And they might feel sad when they see their friend sad at this stage. Emotional intelligence is this idea of like knowing how to engage with others in an emotional way, right? That you can read people's emotions. That you can look at someone and start understanding, oh, Baba looks really mad right now, right? Or Mama really needs me to help her with something right now. So they might be able to start doing this at this stage. Obviously not amazing, but it's starting at this stage, right? And this idea of teamwork and cooperation. So up until this point, it's mostly about me, right? My needs, I want, right? By the time they come to 6 to 8, they start really understanding how to work together as a team and with other people, and maybe taking turns or doing something. Maybe I want to play this game, my friend wants to play that game, so they start thinking about how to solve that, right? Okay, maybe we'll play my game first, and then we'll do your game for 5 minutes each. Or we both want to play this toy, let's take turns. So this is the stage where they're, again, these are the kind of the needs and the stuff that they're starting to learn in this stage. This is also the stage where their curiosity and love of learning is going to start. They're going to start developing critical thinking and problem-solving skills. And so this is an area of a time where there's so much academic kind of growth and interest starting. Right? So when they start learning and the excitement of school and the excitement of reading books and doing things that like to stimulate their brain, they're going to want to do more of that. Okay? So that's, again, what they need and what's happening in this stage. And then we're going to start talking about how we can support them. So it would be amazing if we can support their social interactions. Help to pick, another child that they get along with and encourage them to like invite that friend over. Let's go to the park with that friend. Let's meet somewhere, right? I used to tell my daughter when she was young, I needed to quit my job so I can arrange her social calendar, right? Because every day she wanted to spend time with someone different. Like, I can't keep up with you, right? So again, you have to establish boundaries there, but encourage them to do these things. Teach them how to resolve conflicts and communicate effectively. They're going to have problems. They're going to have issues. They're going to see someone that's being mean to them. And so we have to teach them how to manage those situations in a way where it's respectful, but they're also establishing their boundaries with people, right? And so they're going to look to you to help them learn these things. Encourage participation in team sports and clubs. So if they have an opportunity to play basketball or soccer, and what I love about this is that it's not about winning, it's not about losing, it doesn't mean they're going to be the next soccer star, who cares, doesn't matter. It's about learning to work on a team, right? There are going to be times where they're playing and times they're not. There are going to be times where someone on their team says, you messed that up, what did you do? And they're going to learn from that, right? They're going to help their team members score that goal because they made a pass to them. So there's so many benefits about just kind of learning to work together. And I just have a comment to say about this. I always, when my kids were little, I don't know about you, my kids were little, one day they loved soccer. The next day, oh, I don't want to go, it's so boring. But you already signed them up for the season. You already paid the money. You already committed. Anybody have that problem with their kids or only me? Oh my goodness, it used to drive me crazy. I used to pay hundreds of dollars for the new gymnastics class. And it's like, oh no, I don't like that anymore. What? And so my rule with my child is that before I sign them up, I would tell them, I'm gonna sign you up, but you have to commit this season, whatever that season is, right? And it could be, you made a promise to your team is counting on you, right? And so you have to understand that you, like the team members, need you to be there because you said you were going to do it. If after the season is over, you don't wanna go anymore, we can talk about that. Okay? So that's just a suggestion that I have regarding that. So we also have to start fostering a positive learning environment. So in your home, try to find where are they going to do their homework. Is it an area that there's so much chaos where the TV is going on, their young siblings are screaming and yelling? Is it in their bedroom, which I would say probably not, especially at this stage? So try to have an area for them where they know this is where you're going to do their homework. You know, whether it's a small corner, I'm not telling you have to have a whole room for them, but just a small area. My daughter likes to do her homework in the dining room, in a specific chair, and she leaves her stuff very messy, but it's her space that she's gonna know that her stuff is gonna be here. This is where she comes to do her homework every day. And try to encourage curiosity by like giving them exposure to new topics, reading new books, or playing educational games and showing them educational games that they can participate in as well.
من 6 ل 8 ابتدى بقى يخرج من الأب والأم ويدخل كمان في الأصدقاء والفريندشيب، ومهم قوي يكون علاقاته يكون علاقات مع الأصحاب وعلاقات مع القرايب والجيران، ويبتدي يتعلم إزاي يشعر بالآخر. يعني مش بس إن هو احتياجاته، يعني هو بيبي صغنن كان احتياجاته أنا، دلوقتي بقى لأ، في واحد تاني محتاج حاجة ويحس باللي قدامه ويحس بالآخر، ويبقى في عنده emotional intelligence اللي هو إزاي يحس بالآخر ويتفاعل معاه. برضو يتعلم في الحتة دي إن هو يكون عنده team work، في أوقات أنا بعمل حاجة وأوقات غيري بيعمل حاجة، ويتعلم critical problem solving و critical thinking، اللي هو لو مثلا في أنا عايز ألعب حاجة وصاحبي عايز يلعب حاجة تانية، يبقى أوكي نحلها إزاي دي؟ خلاص أوكي دلوقتي الوقت ده ناخده أنت تلعب اللعبة، نلعب اللعبة بتاعتك وبعد شوية نغير، وهكذا trying to solve البروبلمز اللي بيقابلها. مهم الأهل يحاولوا يدخلوه في social interactions وكلابز، نوادي وحاجات زي كده واكتيفيتي وسبورتس. وبرضو قالت حاجة مهمة، إن ممكن هو النهاردة عايز ألعب اللعبة دي تنس مثلا، أوكي، واشتركنا له في التنس، اشتركنا له لمدة سنة، بكرة لا التنس ده ممل، أنا مش عايز تنس، عايز حاجة تاني. فنعلمه إن يبقى committed لفترة معينة اتليست، حتى لو أنت مش تعال على نفسك شوية وكده. برضو من الحاجات المهمة إن احنا نتعامل معاه في المدرسة ونبقى نشترك في الأكتيفيتي اللي بيعملها في المدرسة أو الهوم ورك اللي بيعمله في المدرسة. بتهيألي أنا كده قلت كل.
I want to say two more things about the 6 to 8. We want to be very careful. We have some kids, some strong-willed kids that want it's their way or the highway. They always want to get what they want. We want to be very careful not to give in all the time. And it's hard because sometimes it's easier. You don't want your kid to keep crying, right? Before, remember when we were little, we were like, we have to pay attention. We don't want them to cry all the time. At this stage, we sometimes have to leave them to be sad for a long time, or else they're going to make your life miserable. This is going to be the stage that if they get everything they want now, wait till they're teenagers, by the time they're teenagers, I'm telling you. So suffer with this stage, suffer with them for a little bit. Don't say yes all the time. Don't let it be their way all the time, because it will be difficult as they get older. The other thing for this stage, we talked about the importance of social interactions. And we are so blessed to have a church that has so many opportunities for social interactions within our church. So let's encourage our children to be part of those interactions as well. Let's not swoop in all the time. Sometimes we see kids fighting and we're like, oh, stop, and we get mad when someone else is mean to our child. Let's also watch them. Obviously, we want to keep them safe. We don't want them to get hurt. But let's not always swoop in to try to save them. It's okay for them to try to manage some problems on their own. Obviously, if there's fighting and they're in danger, no, right? But if they're having a little bit of a conflict about what game they're going to play or who's better at soccer, you don't have to interject all the time. And then also work with your child to give them language of when they have a problem, what they can say when there's another problem with another child their age. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you need translation or we're good? We're good? Okay. All right, so let's go to 9 to 12. And so we talked about self-esteem, we talked about confidence and self-esteem and things like that at the younger stages. Anybody have 9 to 12 here? Okay, a lot more, okay. So every stage that we talked about up until this stage helps to establish this, like it builds up everything builds on the other, right? And so this is the stage where they're continuing to have their self-esteem. They're a little bit more insecure about like the way their body looks, the way their hair looks, the way that they're not so, they used to really love soccer, but they're not really sure because they don't run as fast as some of the other kids. So they're starting to pay attention to some of those things. And also the identity formation, right? They're establishing and building their identity more at this stage, and even more when they're teenagers, but we're not gonna go there. I need someone to give me a lesson about that because it's hard. But the identity formation, they're learning, what do I like? Right? I've played soccer, I played basketball, I did all these different things, but what sport do I really like? Right? They start exploring with their like style a little bit, right? So you're gonna see your kids, things that they used to like to wear. The girls might be like, no, I don't wanna have a toca in my hair anymore, right? Or I wanna tie my hair up even though you don't love the way it looks, but they wanna do certain things. So they're starting to have more of an identity, what do I like? They're also wanting to seek approval and validations from their friends. They want their friends to like what they're doing or what they're saying or how they look. Teachers and family. They're developing their personal values and opinions about things, right? So they might start giving you a hard time at this stage when you might have had your son that never gave you a hard time dressing as a deacon. Maybe in this stage, oh, I don't want to be a shemes. Oh, I don't want to wake up for church. Oh, why do I have to go here? Right? So they're going to start kind of pushing some of those limits because they're trying to establish again, Mama told me I had to do this, but I'm going to fight about this when I'm between the ages of 9 to 12. So they're going to start pushing back a little bit. And also the other important psychological need is emotional regulation. This stage, they have to learn how to cope with anger and stress and frustration in a healthy way, okay? Because these are emotions that we as adults, we still have to manage. And we know some adults that even can't manage their emotions very well. And so it's important that we work with our children to teach them ways of handling the stress. Developing strategies when they're like really upset, how to get calm. How to handle problems, again, with peer pressure, their friends wanting them to do something risky or dangerous, or when they have a problem with their friends. Now, I want to say something, because I've seen it as well, and sometimes it's hard. We model for our children. We can't tell our children, stop yelling when you're mad, as I'm yelling to them. I've done that before. Anybody else have done that before? Or what's your problem, right? What am I teaching them? Right? So we're modeling, and it's hard. I'm not telling you it's easy. I still mess up. I tell you, I mess up my kids so much, don't worry. So I'm telling you everything that I should have done. So again, we have to really think about what we're teaching them by our actions, not our words only. It has to match our actions to them. We're their greatest teacher, and they're watching us. They're watching how Mama and Baba are talking to each other. And they start knowing, oh, I can go to Baba for this because Mama's gonna definitely say no, but Baba, right? And so we joke in our family, if we want something, we always send Julia, my daughter, to go ask Baba, because Baba might say no to me, he might say no to Justin, but he won't say no to Julia. But it's a joke, something we joke about. But in seriousness, we have to start, again, they watch these things, so we have to make sure the parents are on the same page, but also that the parents are able to communicate with each other in a healthy way. So even if we all fight with our husbands and wives, and that's okay, right? In some sort of way, but we have to be careful not to be doing it in front of our children because, again, they're learning from us. So from 9 to 12, we want to find opportunities for them to pursue their interests. And so if they tell you, if you know that your child has been playing soccer for all these years, encourage them to continue. Encourage them. Sometimes it's hard on us because we're too tired, I can't drive you. Push ourselves because we'll see the fruits of that when they get older. Praise them for their efforts and accomplishments. Again, things that they're doing well, and also telling them what things they can work on. It's okay for us to tell our child, you need to kind of work a little bit more on this, but find a positive thing to say as well. Encourage open communication, so that your child can talk to you about how they're feeling, without thinking that my parents are judging me. And then when you were thinking about coping with emotions and stress, we have to teach them ways to manage this. And so again, there's ways, and school counselors can also help with this, people at school can help with this, teaching them like deep breathing exercises, being present, other ways to relax when you're mad. So I always used to tell my child, it's okay that you're mad, right? And usually they're mad at you because you didn't give them something, but you have to be able to manage your anger in a way that's healthy, right? So if that means going to your room and punching a pillow, whatever it is, just get that anger out, but in a way that's not gonna harm anyone around them, right? So they have to learn ways to manage their stress. It's also helpful to, like, right now we're gonna talk about some scenarios, so it's also helpful to practice scenarios with your child. What would you do if your friends did X, Y, or Z? How would you manage it? And talked through a problem that they maybe even had at school that day. Oh, what did you do? What did your friend do? What did the teacher do? Right? So engage them, find out about their day, be involved in what their interests are. My son used to love playing a specific video game when he was younger, and I don't know anything about video games. I'm not really a video game person, but I used to just engage him in conversation for him to tell me about the game. Oh, how does the game work? How do you win the game? Right? So I don't understand anything, but it's engaging, I'm connecting with my child, right? So the importance is finding a way to connect with them about something that they're interested in. And then, again, encourage physical activity. There is a lot of research and science to talk about, like even when we think about why do people go to the gym? Some people go to the gym to lose weight and to stay healthy, but other people use it as a stress relief. Because there's science to show that when we are physically active, it helps us to be happier. It impacts our mood. It gives us more energy. So these are same effects for our children, 9 to 12. When they're engaged in physical activity, it helps their mood. It helps them manage kind of their different emotions as well.
في السن ده بيكون his identity، يعني الولد ولد والبنت بنت، ويعرف شخصيته ويحط كده، يهتم بجسمه، يهتم مثلا هي بتهتم بشعرها والحاجات دي كلها، ويهتم ان الاصدقاء يقدروا شكله او يقدروا رأي الاصدقاء فيه، وبعدين برضو هو بيعترض على الحدود اللي بابا وماما حطوها، فبيحاول يوسع الحدود دي شوية أو يسهل على نفسه شوية. وبعدين لازم يتعلم التعامل مع الغضب، ولما يكون الأصدقاء بيعملوه وحش ازاي يتعامل معاهم. فبرضو بيعرف انه يفرق بين الأب والأم. الأب بيوافق على إيه والأم بتوافق على إيه، الأب ما يوافقش على إيه والأم ما يوافقش على إيه، فيقدر إمتى يروح هنا وإمتى يروح هنا. فمهم الاتنين يكونوا متفقين إنهم on the same page علشان ما يعملش مشاكل بينهم. ده اللي أنا كتبته. بس بعد كده الأب والأم مهم قوي في الوقت ده يشجعوا الولد كويس قوي أو البنت، يعني يشجعوا ولادهم، ويكون في بينهم communication، لازم تواصل معاه. عملت ايه؟ احكي لي عن يومك في المدرسة، احكي لي عن يومك في النادي، احكي لي عن أصحابك، ويكون في تواصل. ونساعده help control الايموشنز أو الأنجر. يعني أوكي مش غلط إنك تتضايق، صح إنك تتضايق، بس إزاي تعبر عن ضيقتك وإزاي تعبر بطريقة سليمة ومانج الأنجر بتاعك. برضو الجيم في الحاجات دي مهم قوي، لأنه مش بس على الصحة ومش بس على الخسسان، ولكن to remove الستريس ويحسن المود. فنشجعه برضو على الجيم. ده اللي أنا كنت كتبته، صح ولا في حاجة ناقصة؟ أوكي. Thank you.
Thank you. And when we say gym, I don't mean the actual gym, just like playing at a park or running around outside or your backyard, right? You don't have to pay any money for this. Okay. You have a question?
shouldn't yell to the kids when he is yelling actually. يعني هي دي بس كده. يعني مش المفروض نزعل.
Thank you. There was one other thing I wanted to say, but now I forgot. Maybe we'll come back to it. Any questions about 9 to 12? Yeah.
And 9 years old. They are totally different personalities.
Yeah.
So how we deal with them? They have certain needs, and we try to just manage it between, but they are totally different personalities, both of them. So the small one is more independent. The big one actually is not independent. He's dependent for the small one more. I don't know how we manage this.
So I have a similar situation where, and there's no easy answer. I think that you obviously know your child, and I think that hopefully today you'll understand some of their needs in the stage. And I think that we have to still, sometimes I feel like I have two personalities, because the way I talk to my daughter is different than the way I talk to my son. So for example, my son can go take a test, and he would get a 60, and he's like, what? That's good. Everyone else got 40s, right? Then I have and so I'm yelling at him because he didn't study. And then my daughter got an 80, and she's crying, and I'm like, it's okay, you tried your best, right? So sometimes it's okay. We have to manage each child according to their specific needs and what we know. So obviously, you know your child better than anybody else does, so you're gonna find a way to navigate how to manage them based on what you know their needs are. So I don't have a specific answer, but if there's a specific, give me an example, we can talk through that. Do you know what I mean? So maybe do you want to come back? You think an example, we can come back to you? Okay, but it's okay to have, so sometimes my son will say, oh, you love her more, or you're nicer to her, and I'm like, no, right? But at the same time, are you trying your best? That's all I tell them, right? So now we're going to talk about screen time, and I kind of put this in just because I think screen time is a big thing in this stage. When we were little, I think everyone here, we were mostly playing outside, right? We were playing outside, we were with family, we played with toys. Even if we didn't have toys, we found a paper to color on. We entertained ourselves in a way that these kids, if they're not in front of something like an iPad or a phone or something, oh, I'm bored. Oh, there's nothing to do. Anybody else have that problem with their kids? Yeah. So we have to still set limits. And so it's important to think about in setting these limits, because when they have excessive exposure to electronics, it impacts their sleep. It actually does impact their sleep. It impacts their physical ability, because sometimes you have seen kids that are addicted to video games that they literally don't even get up to eat. They just sit there all day long because they don't realize the video game messes with your brain. So you sit there and play. You don't realize it's 5 hours later if you leave your child. And so they're not moving. It impacts face-to-face social interactions. I remember one time, I think my son, how old was he? Maybe he was 11 or 12, and it was his birthday, and so he picked a few friends who were gonna go out and do something. And so I had a minivan, so I told him, okay, I'll take all your friends, let them meet at our house, we'll take them all and drive. And my son had a lot of controls on his phone. He must have been 12 at the time. He had controls on his phone, so he wasn't really doing anything on his phone. So he's sitting in the front seat, all of his friends are sitting in the back, and nobody's talking, because all the kids in the car are staring down at their phone. So they want to be together, but they want to be together and use their phones, right? So sometimes you'll see them, oh, we're playing a game together on our phones. I'm like, you can talk. You're right here, talk to each other. You don't need your phone to play a game, right? Talk. So they don't know how to talk. They want to send a text. So now that my kids are a little bit older, I tell them, call that. So sometimes they have a debit card. If there's something wrong with it, I said, make a call and ask. No, what do I say? So we have to teach our children how to talk on the phone, right? I don't know, sometimes you tell them talk to your parents or talk to tita or giddo. They don't know what to say on the phone, right? They're kind of weird and socially awkward. So we have to teach them, and if we don't set these limits, they're not going to be able to engage socially with other people. There's actually research also to support that it impacts your attention span. A child's attention span is very short already, but if with access to more electronics, it even limits the attention span that's already limited as it is. And academic performance. We had a rule when my kids were little that there was no electronics during the week. And so after they finished their homework, they had to find something else to do that wasn't the TV or the iPad or whatever. They had to find something else to do with their time during the week. And so it's also important to set limits for managing screen time. So what are the rules around using? We can't use it while you're eating. We can't use it while we're having dinner as a family. And no electronics before bedtime. These are just some examples of us setting limits. All the research supports that you should turn off electronics at least 30 minutes before bedtime. So no electronics 30 minutes before bedtime. Encourage them to do something else. Promote in physical activity, reading, hobbies, find something else to do. You know what was interesting is when my kid was little, when my son was little, and I would tell him, you're in trouble, you're punished, or whatever, no TV or no iPad or whatever, that was the time that he was the most creative. He would start building things. He would start playing with things he never played at before. I was like, why do I have to put you in trouble to do these things, right? But if we establish limits, then they're more likely to find something else to do that's creative with their time. Be a role model. We can't tell them they can't be on their phone all day long if we're on our phone all day long. Something we established in our house is that there's no one's bringing phones to the dinner table, right? There are some families that even say when everyone gets home from work, this is where all the phones or electronics go, and we're not going to touch them until a certain time, right? So that we can be present with each other. You have to find what works for your family. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you to think about these things. Find educational content, not as a replacement for other books and things like that, but at least when they're on electronics, let them be doing something that's educational. And again, have no electronics here, right? So no electronics to the bedroom, no electronics in the kitchen, whatever your rules are, find where those electronic-free zones are. I think it's tired. It's not working. No. It's frozen. Oh, here you go. Thank you. So I just copied and pasted this, and this is according to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. And this is some of their recommended screen times. I have to tell you, I didn't want to put this because I completely disagree with the children 2 to 5, where it says 3 hours per weekend day. That seems like a lot to me, but I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not so I don't know. But this is what what professionals have indicated about their recommendations for screen time for each stage. This is per day, yes. So for example, in 2 to 5, it says 1 hour or less per weekday and 3 hours per weekend day. That's a lot for 3 hours per weekend day. But again, sometimes the days are long and we're home all day, so maybe. But it's interesting, then you see 6 to 15, it's less than 2 hours a day. So that's not a lot. Do you want me to go back? You got it? Okay. So I have some cases. So we're going to read it, and then you're going to tell me what you think the answer is and how to handle it. Do you have a microphone? Okay. Is this okay? We're good? All right. So the first scenario, your child throws a tantrum. So this is a child aged 2 to 5, throws a tantrum in the grocery store. Has anyone ever had a child that's 2 to 5 throw a tantrum in the grocery store? Only my children, right? Because they want candy or because they want a toy. they start crying, screaming, and laying on the floor. And we all know when you have a child that's little, that throws themselves on the floor, you can't pick them up. They're so heavy, right? Even though because they throw their whole body, it's so hard to pick them up. So what would you do? How would you manage this scenario?
Not to take them to the grocery.
Keep them home next time. Problem solved. Too late, you already took them.
I usually keep them outside.
Anybody have any thoughts? That's okay. Do you want to answer? You want to answer? Okay.
If this is the first time, I can agree with them. Okay, I will answer your request today. I will give you this one, but later on, will not do it. And when we turn back to home, I will bring the situation again, and I will tell him, I did it because it's the first time, but later I will not do it. I will not answer your request if you did it again.
Okay. Yep. So I like the idea of like setting clear expectations, but I would say to establish the expectations before you even go, right? Before you go to the store completely, because if they're already crying and you give them, you say, okay, only this time, the child doesn't hear only this time, even if you go tell them. They understand, I cried, I yelled, I threw myself on the floor, I got what I wanted. Do you understand? So before you go to the store, you can say, we're going to the store, and you have $1 to spend, for example, or Mama has nothing, we're not gonna get anything. Mama's just gonna go buy milk and we're gonna leave, for example, right? Or we're not gonna do it today, but if you're good today, then maybe next time we go to the store, you can get something small. Do you understand the difference there? You wanted to say that?
متفقين قبليها ان احنا رايحين المكان الفلاني هنشتري حاجة واحدة او ليك لعبة واحدة في اليوم ده او لو رايحين محل مش بتاع لعب احنا رايحين هنشتري الحاجات الفلانية وما فيهوش لعب اليوم النهارده ما فيهوش شراء لعب فخلاص بنبقى متفقين من قبليها.
Yes.
انما قبل كده بقى كنا بنعمل حوار.
That's true. Good. So I think it is important to stay calm when they do that. You can tell them if they're crying in the store on the floor, I understand that you really want candy and you're upset, but I'm sorry, we talked about it before, we're not gonna get the candy today. Again, you're gonna talk calmly. We're not gonna be yelling and screaming and tell them to be calm. We're gonna talk calmly so that they can demonstrate being calm. Be firm and gentle when setting the limits. We're not buying candy today, but you can help me choose another snack if that's okay with you. We're no candy today, but come pick another crackers, goldfish, whatever it is that you're okay with that you were gonna buy anyway, right? They can pick it, for example. Try to distract and redirect, right? So sometimes that works, it depends on the child. But sometimes if we say, okay, let's go see, oh, you love strawberries, let's go look at the strawberries together. Oh, let's go look, so sometimes that works with some kids. So again, I'm not saying all of this is perfect for every child, but these are just some ideas to think about. And consistency. If you said you're not gonna buy candy today, please do not buy candy today. Because the minute that you give in, they will know, I just have to keep testing the limits and pushing, and next time they're gonna push more. And next time they're gonna push more. And next time you're gonna push more. And then you have a teenager who wants everything they want all the time, and they know that they're in charge, not mama and baba. So this is the stage where you have to really maintain your, whatever rule you say, you have to stick with it. Are we good? Okay. So the next scenario, 6 to 8. Your child wants to spend all their free time playing video games or watching TV. You're concerned about the amount of screen time they're getting. How would you manage that? What are some things we talked about? It's difficult. Do you guys want the answer?
لو هو 5 سنين وكام شهر كده هو مش معترف اساسا ان يبقى فيه فري تايم هو عايز الوقت كله فري تايم ده ازاي ممكن ابني معاه روتين يعني الموضوع صعب جدا
هو بيروح حضانة مدرسة kindergarten
I can engage him in different activity like playing board games.
So find an alternative activity. Yeah. You know, this is what's hard is that sometimes you have your own responsibilities. You can't stop and play a game with them right now because you have to cook dinner, right? You might have to be cleaning up after dinner. You have other responsibilities that you're doing. So you might not always, I'm not pretending that it's easy, that we can't always stop what we're doing to entertain my kid. My husband used to always say, when my kids say to them, I'm bored, just let me watch more TV, I'm so bored, right? And so my husband would say to them, my job is not to entertain you, go find something to do, right? And so sometimes they're able to and sometimes they're not. So at this stage, you can give them other alternatives. At this stage, if you're cooking dinner, for example, you say, I don't have time for you to sit in front of the TV. Instead of letting them do that, say, why don't you come in the kitchen and help me do something else? Oh, help me empty the dishwasher. Oh, help me set the table. Oh, help me wash this vegetable. Whatever it is, something small. My daughter right now, that's a teenager, she's amazing in the kitchen. She's only 15, but since the time she was young, she was baking, and because she loved being in the kitchen. So she would always help us with doing something. So thank God now I can tell her, can you make us dinner? And she actually will go and like try to make dinner for us or bake something for us. So start when they're young. So I think it is, you can establish a routine for them, especially when your child's in kindergarten, right? They come home and you can help them, that you can ask them to help you set the routine. Okay, you come home at 3 o'clock. What are we gonna do right when you get home? Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands, and then I'm gonna have a snack. Okay, what are you gonna do after you have your snack? And you give them some options, right? You can draw a picture, you can color, you can play with your blocks, you can give them different options. Okay, you'll do that from this time to this time. Okay, now it's time to help mama get dinner on the table. Okay, now it's time to help mama, clean up a little bit or do something a little bit. Now it's time to shower. Okay, now I have 30 minutes where I can watch something here. So sit with them and help them, ask them to help you. You will be surprised that they can come up with some ideas for those routines. And sometimes if they're part of it, if they feel like they have a choice in it, sometimes they're more likely to listen. Oh, but you said that you were okay with this today, let's try. And encourage them. All right, I think we talked about this. All right. Handling peer pressure, ages 9 to 12. Your child's friend wants them to participate in a risky activity like trying a dangerous stunt. My son used to always want to do crazy things on his bicycle. His friend would bring like these little ramps and they would do tricks on the ramps. I'm like, you're gonna break your head, right? Your child is unsure about what to do and feels pressured. So it's different if you have a child that wants to try. Sometimes it's okay to let them try certain things, obviously, that nothing is gonna kill them. But how would you handle this? They want to try, they come and tell you, I'm not sure what to do, how do I do this? My friend's gonna be mad at me if I don't, go to the skate park with them, but I'm scared. They feel pressured. Okay. So explain to them what the risks are.
Yeah. For example, they go to do backflips and stuff, and I show them a couple of videos when people break their neck, and they listen.
Okay. So explain to them the risks of what they could be participating in. All right. And so it's important to have the open communication, right? So hear what their feelings are. Build confidence. It's okay to tell your friends you don't really want to do that. It's okay, right? That's something that you feel is unsafe. Maybe you can offer an alternative, right? So maybe you can say, instead of doing that, what about we can go to the park and play soccer in the field? Whatever it is that you help them decide on some ideas. Discuss consequences, like you say what might happen if you do it, like you teach them what can happen. Practice. Sometimes they don't have the words. So what are the words you can say to your friend in this situation? Have them pick the words they can say. And then support system. Encourage your child to be around. Do you feel like this friend always tells you to do things that are wrong or risky, maybe you should think about other people that you want to spend time with that might be more safe to be around. Because now this is the age, remember 9 to 12, this is the age that they're deciding who their friends are and what their beliefs are. And they're forming their identity. So it's okay for us as parents to point things out to them in that way. Do we have time for one more or no? You want to do one more? Okay. Supporting emotional regulation. So now you have a 6 to 8-year-old. Your child is getting easily frustrated with homework. Let's say it's math homework, my favorite, and often has emotional outbursts. They get upset and refuse to continue working. This is too hard. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. This is stupid. Do any of your kids say that, or only my kids? Okay. So what would you do? Okay, Habibi, don't worry. That's what we say, right? You have an answer back there? A couple of hands in the back.
Like sometimes I was telling my son, it's okay if you don't want it, it's your choice, but remember that no pain, no gain. And if you want to be successful, you have to get some difficulties in your life.
Yeah, so it's so hard, but so true.
Yeah, so when you do your homework, you're going to be successful and you're going to learn how to come over your difficulties in your life. If you don't want it, you're going to gain it in the future. You'll not be able to achieve or do anything in your life.
I love the no pain, no gain, but I think we have to think about the age, right? This age is 6 to 8, so they might not care, but I think that would be really good for older. Right? I've said that to my kids. This is your homework. You don't want to do it. You're the one that's going to suffer and get a bad grade on that assignment. I'm not going to sit next to you and hold your hand to do it. Right? You have to explain to them what are consequences of their actions. Did you have a comment too?
أوقات بقول ناخد بريك شوية يعني مثلا 15 minute نعمل التمرين ده أو حاجة أو نحل الحاجة دي وبعدين ناخد بريك شوية وبعدين نرجع تاني. وأوقات ممكن لو هي أنت مش فاهم الحاجة دي ممكن نشغلها على التلفزيون نسمعها نمبر بلوكس نسمع كان أكاديمي الدرس بيتشرح ونرجع تاني نحل.
Excellent. Yes, good. Taking a break, sometimes that's important. I don't know about you, but sometimes even when I'm working or when I'm doing something, sometimes I'm tired. My brain just shuts down. I can't figure it out. It's a problem. I can't do it anymore. Sometimes I have to take a break, right? And so sometimes for me, that break is like to move around the house or to wash dishes, just to do something different to distract me. So it's okay to tell our children to take a break as well during that time. That can help them. And also trying to find and teach them how to do the actual work. So I understand it's okay to feel frustrated. I see that you're frustrated. Teach calming strategies. What can you do when you're angry right now? Break tasks into smaller steps. Okay, you have 20 problems left to do. That seems like an eternity for that child. That's so much. Let's do 5 now, 6 now, then we'll take a break. Let's do then 6 more, and then celebrate. Yay, you did 5, awesome! Yay, make a big deal, right? Let's have a little dance, whatever it is, just be silly with them for a few minutes. Let's go back to work, right? Okay, let's do 10 jumping jacks every 6 that you finish, right? So break it up into something smaller so that they can feel success as they go. I love the idea of, again, taking the breaks, and then offer support and praise. I'm done. Thank you guys for listening to my English. I can't talk slow, I'm sorry. Any questions? Yeah. I don't have any answers today, so, but they do. They have all the answers.
What if the kid has some sort of, like, some kids sometimes they can have like ADHD or slow to understand things. What about these kids?
Yeah, so I feel like that's a whole other topic. Like that's no easy answer. I think that first we have to recognize and understand what ADHD is, and that's a lecture by itself. Because the thing is that sometimes when a child has ADHD, when we ask them to do certain tasks, their brain isn't processing it. And what happens is their brain is not processing it, the parent is getting mad that they're not listening, and then the child is feeling defeated because they're getting in trouble all the time. But the problem is at the start, their brain is not processing it. So sometimes with a child with ADHD, you have to break it up into small things. You can't give all the rules and all the, you can't, what's the word? You can't say, change your clothes, clean up your room, sit for dinner, do your homework. You can't say that all at one time to them because that's too much. You have to give one command at a time and show them what that looks like. I've actually seen some kids with ADHD, you can't just say clean up your room because how they understand clean up your room is different than what my expectations are. So I've seen that actually parents have taken a picture. This is what a clean room looks like. This is your room clean. This is what it looks like. So when you say clean up your room, you're showing them the picture, and then you want their room to look like this picture. So again, that's a good question, but it's going to take a long time to talk about ADHD specifically because there are lots of people that say that's even overdiagnosed. That every doctor is saying, oh, this kid has ADHD, this kid has ADHD. But actually, it's not true that every single child has ADHD. There are some kids that are hyper, that do need to get out their energy, and we have to find ways that they can do that. But there are other kids that truly struggle with their ability to control themselves, and they need different ways to handle. Yeah.
بنوتة وولد. البنوتة 9 years old والولد 11 ونص. فكل واحد متميز في الحتة بتاعته. بس أعمل إيه ده حاسس إن أنا متميز وشاطر وهي حاسة إن هي شاطرة في الحتة بتاعتها بس هي بتتغاظ إن هو شاطر في الحتة دي وأنا مش شاطرة فيها وهو كمان بيحس إن هي شاطرة في حتة هو مش شاطر فيها ففي نوع من الغيرة والغيظ ما بيناتهم وتنافس يعني إحنا اللي بنلبس في الحيط في الآخر فإزاي أحلها؟
Yeah. So I think it's important for us every single one of us is different, right? I might be very good at math. You might be not good at math, but you're really good at drawing, right? And so I think that we have to celebrate differences and celebrate our different abilities, right? So I think our job as parents is I'm wondering, like, we have to shagga both. We have to say, I'm so proud, you're amazing at math. It's okay for us to struggle in some things. We're not going to be good at everything. That's life. There's no one person that is good at everything. Is anybody here really good at every single thing? Like sports, school, managing money, friends, everything. No, everyone has struggles. And so I think you have to start recognizing, I'm so proud of you for being really good at this, but we have to be proud of your brother because he's good at that. We have to be. Right? And same thing for him. You're so amazing at this, but I need you to say something. What can you say to your sister right now because she did really well in her math test? So just keep reinforcing. Just keep reinforcing. And I'm also interested about like what the deeper issue is. Do they feel that, for example, does your son feel that you're giving more attention to the girl and does the girl feel you're giving more attention to him? I don't know. There might be something that's deeper. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. But I would say to be consistent and to make sure we're not prioritizing one skill over the other. We're not saying, oh, you're better because you're good at this, and you're okay, but you're like, we have to make sure that we're prioritizing their successes and their talents. And we also have to start teaching them, God made us all unique. Every single one of them, God created us perfectly. There's no one we can say God did not create perfectly. So if you're upset that your brother is that, we're upset with God. No, God created you. You're amazing because you're tall, you have long hair, you're good at math, you make good friends. you help mama, but your brother is also amazing and special because God did this to him. Does that make sense? So I think keep trying. You're doing the right thing. Just keep at it. There's no easy answer. And I would say don't feed into it. I don't know if you understand that. Like don't make a big deal. Like don't ما تركزتيش فيها. Like don't say, oh, please don't be sad. It's okay. No. We're happy for your brother that happened. I want you to be happy too and move on. Don't talk about it too much. Sometimes we make things a bigger deal because we keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. Yeah? Are we okay with time? What time is it? It's 1:48. Are you guys good? We're supposed to be done. Sorry.
How can we save our kids from like bad websites and bad ads from the screening time? What we should do?
Yeah, so that's also a whole other topic about parental controls, but we have to be using parental controls. There's a lot of different software out there to keep our kids safe. However, I have also experienced that even with those softwares, everything is not foolproof. They're playing a game, sometimes the free games on your phone. Have you ever seen your child play a free game on your phone, all of a sudden like a picture of like a half-naked woman is popping up? You're like, what's happening? This is just a game of blocks. So we have to be careful because even stuff like that can pop up when they don't intend to see it, when an ad comes up on your phone or on the tablet. So we have to be very vigilant. We have to put parental controls. We have to be aware, right? So usually I don't let them take their tablets or phones or whatever. They have to be using it in an open area. Do you know what I mean? Like they can't be using it in their bedroom or somewhere private. They have to be sitting in the kitchen.
Even if you know the videos they saw it, sometimes they rent it to some people. They bring some ads inside something you know about it. So
Yeah.
How can we get this?
So that's why I think there's no, they're going to be exposed to these, it's hard. There's no, that's why we have to be really vigilant. Because again, sometimes without them even intending, they're seeing these things. So we have to have controls, but even with the controls, sometimes they're still seeing these things. There's no, it's scary. We're raising our kids in a very scary time because of electronics and what they're seeing. Even, so YouTube, I would say don't let your kids go on YouTube. They do have YouTube for kids. So that's something that's a little bit safer, but then even there, they're seeing things they shouldn't be seeing. But there has to be controls on their devices. There's things that will even alert you, like if they're going to a website they shouldn't go, you can block certain websites. You can block certain access to certain games and certain apps. So you have to be, again, on top of this. And have you guys heard even things like Disney now is not innocent like it used to be. They're seeing all sorts of things on Disney from a young age as well. It's really sad. I'm sorry, I can't answer you because it's hard with all the technology. Like that's going to really take a long lecture to talk about screen times and safety, digital safety, online safety. But I went over my time. Thank you all so much. You guys were awesome.
نشكر مدام مريان جدا على المحاضرة الجميلة دي ونستأذنها ممكن نوزع البرزنتيشن عليهم. alright, okay. So ممكن البرزنتيشن دي نحطها على الجروب. طب أنا عايز أقول لكم حاجة تاني. المرة الجاية موضوع مهم قوي، مش أطفال بقى، موضوع تاني مهم جدا جدا في حياتنا كلها، هو الحدود. يعني how to say no, when to say no و how to say no. موضوع مهم قوي في الحدود، لأن لو ما فيش حدود ممكن حياتنا تبوظ ونفسيتنا تتعب ويبقى في مشاكل داخلية ومشاكل أسرية. فمهم قوي مبدأ الحدود في حياتنا. عرفت أوصل لكم القصة ولا لسه؟ نعم؟ لا، لينا لازم أنا أتعلم أحط حدود لحياتي، وأنا ومراتي مع بعض نحط حدود لبيتنا، وهكذا. لازم ازاي نتعلم نحط حدود، امتى نحط حدود وازاي نحط الحدود. ده موضوع المرة الجاية، مش السبت الجاي، اللي بعده. اورايت، نحب نشوفكم. كان في تنبيهات ليه؟ اوكي، في تنبيهات. مكتبة، في مكتبة ورا وكتب ورا، ممكن بعد الصلاة نروح ناخدها. اوكي، تفضلوا نصلي. بشفاعة والدة الإله القديسة مريم، يا رب انعم لنا بمغفرة خطايانا. نسجد لك أيها المسيح مع أبيك الصالح والروح القدس، لأنك قمت وخلصتنا. رحمة سلام ذبيحة
يا رب حقيقي يا رب بنشكرك لأنك أنت إله موجود في وسطينا. طلبناك يا رب في بداية اجتماعنا، وبنقول لك يا رب بنشكرك لأنك كنت موجود. بنشكرك لأنه أنت فعلا المعلم الصالح. أنت يا رب اللي بتيجي يا رب وتدينا يا رب كلمات علشان نعرف ونتعلم. يا رب صلي يا رب إنك تدي حكمة يا رب لكل عيلة يا رب واقفة قدامك النهاردة. اديهم حكمة يا رب ازاي يقدموا يا رب حبك يا رب الحقيقي لأطفالهم ولأولادهم، وازاي يا رب يعرفوا يربوهم صح. ازاي يا رب يدوا فرصة يا رب لشخصك انك تكون موجود في بيوتهم، فيكونوا يا رب عائلات يا رب سليمة، بيوت يا رب مفتوحة يا رب بحسك انت، بيوت يا رب بتعرف يا رب ترفعك، بيوت بتعرف يا رب تخلي أولادها تحبك أنت. يا رب بصليهم، بصلي يا رب ببركة حقيقية لكل شخص واقف قدامك. يا رب بنباركك، يا رب نعليك، يا رب نشكرك، بنشكرك لأنك موجود، بنشكرك لأن أنت بتمشي معانا في طريقنا. يا رب بنباركك، بنعليك في وسطينا يا رب. يا رب بشفاعة يا رب أمنا العذراء، وبشفاعة يا رب القديسة فيرينا يا رب، اسمعنا حينما ندعوك بالشكر قائلين: أبانا الذي في السماوات، ليتقدس اسمك، ليأتي ملكوتك، لتكن مشيئتك كما في السماء كذلك على الأرض. خبزنا كفافنا أعطينا اليوم، واغفر لنا ذنوبنا كما نغفر نحن أيضا للمذنبين إلينا، ولا تدخلنا في تجربة لكن نجينا من الشرير، في المسيح يسوع ربنا، لأن ليك المجد والقوة والمجد.
نشوفكم السبت اللي بعد الجاي في الاجتماع.